Will Boris Johnson hold firm and deliver a clean break from the EU? As it appears, the French position in the negotiations may be softening. I'm going to bring you all the very latest in this report, guys. But as ever, please start off by hitting that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss future reports. And of course, you can support my work by hitting the join button below. Now, we do know, of course, that Boris Johnson had set out the 15th of October as a Brexit deadline. It was made very clear by him. If there was no deal done on the table by that date, in his words, he said that the UK would move on and assume no deal. Of course, that hasn't happened. The date of the 15th of October has come and gone. Negotiations continue, and after being told not to come to London, Michel Barnier and his team from the EU side have returned to London to continue these negotiations. What we are seeing at the same time are several reports that the French position could be changing, could be softening. Of course, we know that the Emmanuel Macron's, the French president's position had said to be a status quo on fisheries, to continue the outrageous current situation on fisheries, which would of course be a complete and utter betrayal. Multiple reports I'm going to bring you today, but starting off with Reuters, Macron lays ground for netting Brexit compromise on fisheries. France is preparing its fishing industry for a smaller catch after Brexit, industry members said, in a sign that President Macron is laying the ground for a delicate compromise to help the European Union strike a trade deal with Britain. Now, Macron has publicly taken a hard line on fisheries, saying France would not accept any Brexit pact that sacrifices our fishermen, and he rejected London's demand for annual negotiations on fish quotas in British waters, saying it damages EU industry. But this report of the French position potentially softening in these negotiations, as I said, a Reuters piece there, Macron lays ground for netting Brexit compromise on fisheries. Interestingly enough, the French Europe minister, and we're going to get onto him a bit more later, but he actually said, he responded to this story, which shows you a sense of sensitivity on the French side. He responded directly to the Reuters story, saying, no scoop here, the EU and France priorities and positions remain the same on fisheries as well as on the level playing field. But a second, this wasn't a one-off report here. Express also, with the headline, Macron to cave on hardline fishing demands. Deal in sight as talks intensify. Emmanuel Macron, the Express report, is on the verge of caving to Britain's key demands, including on fishing rights, insiders have suggested, paving the way for a trade deal. Express.co.uk understands he has prepared France's fishing industry to accept a reduction in quotas in UK waters. Now, this comes as the EU have been blasted for trying to recreate the common fisheries policy. Stubborn Macron savaged by Conservative MP David Jones. Again, in the Express, the European Union has been accused of trying to recreate the common fisheries policy in post-Brexit trade talks with the UK. Conservative MP David Jones, deputy chair of the influential European research group of Tory MPs, telling Express.co.uk they are going to have to drop demands, for example, of full access to British waters. What they're actually trying to do, he said, is recreate the CFP. It's almost as if he said they haven't actually accepted the fact that we've left the EU. At the end of the year, we're going to be an independent coastal state, and they need to negotiate with us on an annual basis, as they do, for example, with Norway. Now, as Yahoo report, talks between the UK and the EU, but of course, we've gone past that 15th of October deadline that the Prime Minister set out. Negotiations still ongoing, talks continuing over the weekend after resuming on Thursday after being called to a temporary halt. Downing Street said the two sides, the UK side and the EU side, were now in the intensive talks, which would carry on through now to Sunday. But The Sun, with another report saying Emmanuel Macron ready to soften demands that Britain follows EU rules post-Brexit as they could backfire on France. Emmanuel Macron ready to soften demands that Britain could follow EU rules post-Brexit. The Sun describing it as a major boost to Boris Johnson's hopes of clinching a deal. The French president said to be relaxing his stance, especially on state aid, as well as accepting a compromise on his hardline fishing demands. Trade Secretary Liz Truss, of course, we've just signed that trade deal with Japan. And by the way, I did a report on that yesterday. Go and check that out. So the two sides have made real progress. She said the PM will walk away if EU demands fail to allow the UK to retain its sovereignty. And the Prime Minister's spokesman has said, we want to reach an agreement as soon as possible. But the French Europe Minister, who I mentioned earlier, Clément Beaune, has said he's accused the UK of bluffing. Accused, effectively, Boris Johnson, the British government, of bluffing about being ready for Australia-style terms of no deal. France's Europe Minister quoted as saying, if the British thought they could live with the freedom of no deal, if it was so easy, they would have already left without one. But an EU source quoted in this story is saying on the level playing field and governance, everybody has shifted. So it seems to me, on the one hand, there is movement on the EU side in these negotiations, but there's also, especially in the French government seemingly, a belief that Boris Johnson still isn't serious about walking away with no deal. And as I'll point out again, that 15th of October deadline has come and passed. Charles Moore, who of course was said to be a frontrunner for the BBC, the role of BBC chairman before ruling himself out, in the Telegraph, a really interesting piece, saying that the PM must avoid a Brexit deal which looks like success on the day but brings failure later. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's this mentality that we have to be seen to get a deal as that's some sort of victory. Well, what's in the deal? Is Boris Johnson going to roll over to EU demands, or is he going to hold firm and secure a clean break? Charles Moore in the Telegraph saying there's a danger that the pressure to get an EU pact becomes greater than the pressure to get it right. Moore saying heavy on the Prime Minister lies the thought that failure to get a deal will look like and might actually be a failure of statecraft. Also, it's not wrong to search for a deal, though given the way politics works, it feels as though the pressure to agree something is stronger than the pressure to get that something right. If the EU, especially the French, sense this, Moore notes, that something will get worse for Britain. And he concludes that success on the day can bring failure later, as has happened time and time again under every British Prime Minister since we joined. This really gets to the crux of the matter. Will Boris Johnson want to secure a deal just because he believes that a deal in itself is some sort of victory, or will he hold firm? And to be fair, all the way through, Lord Frost has been clear. We're going to be a fully independent country, that we are far apart from the EU's demands on things like fisheries and the level playing field. But this is the key moment, isn't it? This is the moment we see whether Boris Johnson will secure a clean break from the EU or not. Fascinated to know what you guys think is going to happen, what you want to see Boris Johnson and the British government do. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, as these negotiations continue this weekend. And if you've enjoyed this report, guys, if you found it helpful and informative, please click that thumbs up button. Really helps me out. And of course, you can become a supporter by hitting the join button. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and have a great weekend. Cheers.